All righty. Welcome to the Ramsey County Board Workshop. Today's workshop topic is the Ramsey County Judges Women's Group. Courtesy reminder that this board workshop is recorded and is live streamed on Zoom webinar. There will be no votes taken during this workshop. We'll start with introductions of commissioners and presenters around the table, and then we'll move to the rest of the room. So I am Tara Jevin Singh, County Commissioner for District 1.
And I'm Mary Jo McGuire, Commissioner District 2, and in honor of the Chinese Lunar New Year, there's some chocolates back here if you'd like to. Yes.
Rena Moran, Ramsey County Commissioner, District 4.
Lynn Becker, County Manager.
Nadir Abdi, Deputy County Manager of the Health and Wellness Service Team.
Sarah Grewing, Chief Judge of the Second Judicial District here in Ramsey County.
Judge Maria Mitchell, Second Judicial District.
Hi, everyone. Nicole Starr, Judge in the Second Judicial District.
Monica Long, Director of Community Corrections.
Harrison McMurtry, Commissioner of District 3.
Mai Chang Shak, Commissioner, District 6.
Rafael Ortega, Commissioner of District 5.
Karen Francois, Deputy County Manager for the Community Services and Support Service.
Catherine Murphy, Principal Assistant to Commissioner Kelly Miller, District 7.
Saint Sonsonet and Relations Specialist.
Sam Farad, Capital Pathways and Services.
Senior Law Firm of Government Relations.
Andrew Greenlee, Deputy Chief of Staff.
I'm Alicia, and I'm here, like, and Brenda Roth, here, same thing.
Julian Jimenez, E2. Valeria Georgia, Community Corrections. Christy Hobbs, Planning Manager with the County Manager's Office.
Sam Scott, Community Corrections. Or
Community Corrections. That's staff, Community Corrections. Tim Vasquez. Superintendent of RCCA.
Hi, Liz Reeds, Deputy Director of Field Services for Corrections.
Jamie Rich, Deputy Director of Facilities. Stephen Byrne, Public Health Record.
John Miller, Community Corrections. Justin Featherstone, Assistant Superintendent of JDC. Steve Morgan, Assistant Superintendent for Ramsey County Corrections.
We get everybody? Excellent. All righty. The Ramsey County Judges Women's Group is a safe and sober space for justice or child protection involved women and their children. Support group was inspired by a similar group for men in the community and has been meeting since 2018. The group was stewarded by a number of volunteers and is primarily led and organized by a leadership circle that includes Judges Grewing, Mitchell, and Starr, along with long-term group participants. Recognizing the value of this supportive community space, Ramsey County Community Corrections financially supports the operations of the group. The judges, along with 2 leadership circle participants, are here today to share information with the board about the critical supports offered by this group to residents. Thank you for being here today, and I will pass things over to Deputy County Manager Abdi to begin the conversation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager Becker. My name is Nadir Abdi. I'm the Deputy County Manager for the Health and Wellness Service Team. Ramsey County Community Correction, which provides financial administrative support for the Judges Women's Group, is one of the service area under my team. I'm excited for the board to learn today more about this innovative community group, which is led by the judicial volunteers from the Second Judicial District. The Safety and Justice Service Team serves as the primary county liaison with the Minnesota Second Judicial Branch serving Ramsey County. My partner, Gloria Reyes, who is the Deputy County Manager of the Safety and Justice Service Team, is not able to join us here with us, but she's part of our Justice Transformation Team. I'm very excited. I think you'll learn a lot today about the work that is being done here. And one of the things that I've always encountered is that this kind of work doesn't happen without commitment and passion. And those folks here with us today have both of those things. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn more about that and also to learn more about the folks that are going to come up later on to talk more about this. With that, I'll pass it to Director Long to kind of kick us off for this workshop this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Again, Monica Long, the Director of Ramsey County Community, proud Director. Of Ramsey County Community Corrections. I'm very thankful to be here this afternoon with Honorable Judge Mitchell, Honorable Judge Starr and Honorable Judge Gruing, and Sister Felicia and Sister Brenda standing by the door. The importance today is to educate and acknowledge that men and women have not always received the same nor equal services while incarcerated or otherwise justice involved. Justice involved women reentering society after incarceration face distinct challenges that often expose pre-existing vulnerabilities that may include challenges such as economic barriers enhanced by employment barriers, housing instability. Secure and safe, affordable housing is a primary challenge, with many women returning to unstable environments that increase their risk for recidivism. Family reunification and parenting. Women are more likely to be primary caregivers, and with incarceration, justice involved disrupts family bonds, and women who have been incarcerated often face significant obstacles in regaining custody of their children. Health and trauma. The high prevalence of mental health disorders, substance use disorders, and histories of experienced physical and sexual violence often predate incarceration and require specialized gender-responsive care and supporting ongoing recovery. A huge one is loss of family support. Supportive networks are necessary for rebuilding the family bonds that are disrupted by incarceration. Finally, incarceration and underlying factors that can often lead to incarceration leave these beautiful women with lasting social stigma. Having a facilitated support environment with individuals with shared experience can give strength needed to navigate and heal from the social, structural, and internalized stigma. Over the past few years, Ramsey County Community Corrections has made significant strides. And I'm looking at my deputy over there, Assistant Deputy Jan Scott, who implemented specialized gender-responsive caseloads to address the unique needs of populations. These efforts include dedicating people resources who specialize in working with gender-responsive caseloads, unsheltered populations, and staffing specialty courts. This work continues. In 2026, one of our department goals is not only to enhance training for our staff, but ensure the programming in our facilities enhanced to meet the needs of all the populations we serve, and collaborating with the judges to sponsor women's group that practices a widely recognized curriculum known as Seeking Safety, a treatment model designed to address co-occurring trauma and addiction. You will hear a few stories today, but I have my own. I'm not allowed to go to the judges group without my daughter. I've learned that. Where is Coy? Because these women have watched my daughter grow up over the last few years as I've seen these women's bonds and traumas be healed over the last few years. I have been blessed to watch this. It is nothing less than beauty when community comes together without stigma, meeting each other where they are, building family, strong mentors, and access to resources. Please join me in welcoming the judges group and for Judge Gruing to kick it off.
Thank you so much, Director Long, and thank you for your partnership and your friendship. I think what you will hear, and we welcome interruptions and questions throughout this discussion. But I think the overriding theme through all of these slides is simply that you have really and truly outside of the box people in Ramsey County who are willing to partner in really unique ways, right? This comes from a partnership that is unusual. So do we get all the seating?
Yes.
Arranged?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Do you want to sit next to him?
Wanna sit with Trevor? Oh. So this slide is a little about the history of women's group. Many of you know Judge George Stevenson, who has been doing something like this with men since 2002. And he's been meeting in community with men, primarily African-American men between the ages of 18 and 25. They meet every other week. Judge Timothy Carey joins him, and occasionally Judge Harris, I think, still comes. And so that had been going for a very long time. Judge Starr and I were appointed in January of 2015, and I think in about January 2017 is when Judge Stevenson said, hey, you two have to do something like this for women. What's your plan? What are you going to do? And that sort of began our work together on this. We had a lovely lunch with Liz Reitz at Sweet Hollow Cafe and said, let us into the workhouse to meet with women who are currently incarcerated. And our idea at the beginning was to sort of start listening to the women who were at the workhouse at the time and what they and their families might need going forward. Classic example, right, is that Judge Starr may be ordering as a part of a child protection plan. She may be ordering random drug tests. Judge Mitchell, as a part of a co-occurring criminal case, may also be ordering those UAs. So then we have someone doing double the work, right? And a lot of times for women, the most motivating thing is getting their children back, far more than a couple days incarcerated on a misdemeanor, for example, right? And so working to figure out how we can better serve the women who are justice involved is how we started at the workhouse. Judge Starr and I will tell you that it was sometimes successful, and sometimes if there was a really good episode of Judge Judy showing on a Friday night at the workhouse, they wouldn't come see us. Wow. That was judges. Nobody was interested. But the question always became, would you be willing to do this on the outside? Why did this program only exist every other Friday night when Ms. Reitz would let us into the workhouse? And we only saw obstacles, and that's what this partnership has really helped us do, is remove those obstacles. Because when you serve women, as you all know, you have to figure out childcare, you have to figure out food, and we had to figure out space in a way that was welcoming to families. And we always sort of thought the courts don't have a budget. Like how on earth are we going to be able to do that? Enter Ramsey County Community Corrections and at the time, Chris Crutchfield and Director Long, who said, I can help you figure this out. We can get to yes. So the late Chris Crutchfield was the person who introduced us to the folks at Dunning. He's the one who got us the space at Dunning. We eventually outgrew Dunning and moved to the Midway Y. We then outgrew the Midway Y and moved to the Wilder Foundation. Wilder was a great partner for us, and they gave us their lowest possible rate. We were able to get a lower rate at the Frogtown Rec Center. That also is a little more child friendly. They have a playground. They have a little more space for our kids and a separate space for our kids. So that's where we are now. But so the move to the community was only made possible because people who work for Ramsey County thought outside the box for us. And again, I think Chris was really the first person that said, yeah, I'll help you figure this out.
And we still have women from the workhouse, our first group, who still show up at our meeting in the community.
Right.
And so when they said they wanted programming on the outs, they meant it, and they show up and vote with their every Wednesday night.
Absolutely. In fact, one of those women who we consider a dear friend came to group after the murder of Renee Good, and was quite concerned about her inability to protest, right? Because she's on parole. So I can't get out there, I can't protest, and I can't. And Director Long happened to be there that night, and we kind of made eye contact, and Director Long said, I want to talk to you in the hallway. And I don't know what you talked about, but she came back in and said, excuse my French, folks, I don't mean to, she really kicks ass. She does. And so serving these women and sort of letting them know how their voice can be heard in a way that wouldn't impact their family going forward. And that we have a relationship with her where we can say, you can trust what she has to tell you. She's coming to you as a fair dealer here to keep you safe. And so that was a huge part of it. So we meet every Wednesday night. We're now at the Frogtown Community Center through the help of former City Attorney Lindsay Olson. And I will turn it over to Judge Mitchell. Okay.
So I will say, the first time that I announced that I became a judge to publicly was at one of the sessions in the workhouse. And the women were like, oh, wow, I can't believe that, you just, found out that you're going to be a judge. And I'm like, yeah, you guys, you heard it here first. And so, I mean, that was a really special moment because before I was volunteering, but as an attorney, and then, when I had my investigator service, Judge Starr and I kind of talked about it because it was on the same night as women's group. I said, you know what? Well, we talked about it and we said, let's just invite them to my party. And so they all came, whoever was available to my party for becoming a judge. And that I actually held that at Wilder, not knowing that we would eventually end up there, but and Felicia was present for that, and it was a great party. So I'm really invested in this group. Our mission is, as you can see, we spent some time working on our mission and our vision statement. One of the most important things is that it's healing centered and trauma informed. We have not had a lot of training in trauma informed. It's in a formal way. We've gone through different seminars and different things, but we're learning as we go and using the curriculum. But that is our important is building support and investing in ourselves in terms of being women. A lot of times the women will say, oh, I didn't realize you guys have the same problems as us, and they are, and we're quite, not to throw anybody under the bus, but there were a few of us all going through menopause at the same time. We're gonna share that. So that informs our programming though, if people, these are things that affect our health and our ability to be successful. Yeah. Well, I just had to keep it real. Yeah. So, with respect to, our guiding principles, we developed those together. So we all filled out a number of surveys and we had a planning session, that was led actually it was a strategic planning sort of session led by Judge Starr's wife, where, the other Judge Starr, where we, really nailed down what is it that we really want to do. And then we also had, one of the community members who has her own business came in and gave us a substantial discount and helped us put together a guide for, and that formalized the process a little more. And it also gets us to refer back to our documents. So are we doing what we're supposed to do? Are we being held accountable? Are we meeting these things of safety and stability, equity, dignity and respect, collaboration, accountability with care, and growth and learning? And so we try to keep that at the forefront when we're working together. And I have to tell you, Brenda and Felicia have put a lot of work in on this. I think that's one of the most important things. This is our annual picnic where we invite our partners. Some of you may have been to this in the room. And some of our most active members are in the photo. And you'll see Judge Veronica, who's one of our volunteers. She's an administrative law judge volunteer. And this will be just a kind of a cute thing. In the very back is Judge Starr's husband. He's also a judge.
One partner.
Sorry. Husband. And a very popular guest at the picnic, Baby Cakes.
Baby
Cake, yeah.
My dog comes to the picnic.
Yeah, the kids love the
Along with my
dog.
husband.
Yes, he's there, but the most important thing is that Baby Cakes. Anyway, so we've set this up in a restorative model. That was our guiding principle, is that everyone is equal. And so we have the advisory circle, which is the small leadership team, which includes Brenda and Felicia. There is opportunity for other women to join the leadership team as they go through our program. We have set it up now so that they can actually receive a certificate so that they have something they can show that they've accomplished. And we've also set up benchmarks in terms of attendance and reward systems for that. And then the final thing is that they can transition into the leadership circle and take on some of the leadership activities. And I have to tell you, a lot of times they'll be like, what am I doing? And then Brenda's like, no, wait a minute, this is what we're doing. And so we count on Felicia and Brenda for helping with the guiding leadership. So that has been a real beautiful thing to see, the evolution and their increased leadership skills. Like, it's just amazing in my opinion. And I'm almost gonna cry. I'm not a crier. But the advisory circle is each person is designated a position to be responsible for certain things. And so together we work together to decide who's responsible for what. And then ultimately we form an opinion about how we're going forward. And with that, I'll pass it to Judge Stott.
So, Director Lawn said that one of the pieces or one of the curriculums that we use is seeking safety. And I do have to give a shout out to Assistant Deputy Jan Scott. When we were first talking about going into the workhouse with Deputy, or now I'm getting all my directors mixed up.
To get her title.
I know, Liz Reed.
The title.
Let's call them all deputy.
All deputy. So Deputy Jan Scott and Deputy Liz Reeds, and when we were thinking about going into the workhouse, Jan sat us down and kind of looked us in the eye, like, you're not just gonna show up and do, like, just screw around. Like, you have to do something for this to be meaningful. And so Judge Gruen and I went to seeking safety training so that we could bring this model to the women's group. It's a SAMHSA model that also gets used in treatment courts, and some of the probation officers or folks who do parole would know this model too, because it's comes out of that program too.
And we don't have to be therapists to do it.
And you don't have to be therapists. So that's part of, like, any person could get the training and then engage in the model.
And we're hoping that Brenda and Felicia can at some point go through the training.
We've brought in a lot of community members. A couple of really nifty things about our group is we ask people to be sober in the moment. And we acknowledge that people are working on sobriety, that recovery is long-term, but that to commit to each other and come in sober. And so we did do Narcan education, getting Narcan into people's hands. That was incredibly popular training.
And that was the county.
That was the county, yep, through the county.
Public health.
County public health. We resolve, as you can see at the bottom, some of our women have ongoing active criminal cases and want to be able to best present, what they're doing in the community. Probation officers actually send women to our group. And so we want to make sure they're getting credit for their time, that it's seen as pro-social time. We Resolve helped one of the group members talk about her experience in group in Hennepin County to get a positive result for her, which was no jail time on a pretty significant charge. We also use a lot of government supports, and we work very closely with Ramsey County. One of the things I think that is nifty about our group is exactly what Director Long said, which is we have mothers and daughters coming to the group constantly. Daughters who have been justice involved might bring their mothers. Moms who are justice involved might bring their children. We've had 3 generations of families come to group. We did have, I think, one of our public health people, I don't know his title. I think the women call him Vagina Man. He talked about healthy public health. You said that was okay, Judge Gervais.
I definitely did not.
Women's public health. It was really great. And just like Judge Grooming, one of the women brought her mother and she was like, he showed my mother all of this. It was incredibly
And you
important.
don't talk about me for saying the word menopause.
Just know that you're public. I know, the public, you will never invite judges back. This is the last time Ramsey County judges were allowed to come. But in fairness to the human anatomy, a lot of women don't necessarily have a good sense of their own public health needs. And so intergenerationally, we are introducing women to topics around health, their hearts, their bodies, reproduction, prenatal health, chemical dependency. When we're talking to women, we're talking to them as whole people. And the questions that we might, have trouble asking, or don't have family, we're fielding those questions and bringing in resources. And so I just want to share a less controversial story. I had one mom bring in her daughter who was in active use, very sick and was unsheltered. It was a day when Director Long was present again. You must be there as a super person. And it was another one of those moments where somebody needed help and Director Long was there to help her with resources. We help people by having a non-judgmental space where you can get food and get resources. And this mom brought her daughter, like, because she needed help. And so we have started to serve in that capacity. Judge Gruing knew one of the women who came in who was 9 months, 8, no, not 9, 8. She was
Very pregnant.
very pregnant, had not gone to prenatal health yet. She was frightened to go because she had been using and was part of the child protection system, but she came to us and she knew Judge Gruing, and we were able to at least say, look, we can't solve all of your problems, but we can listen and we have some ideas and we'll find you safe people who want to help you.
Because we did bring in Mothers First at one point, and so we had a connection with them, which was really helpful. So hopefully.
Absolutely.
And more often than not, they're not our resources. They're the group members' resources, right? I tried this. This is who, Brenda and Felicia are leaders in the group, and they can say, like, when the food stamp freeze happened, all we did is workshop where you could get food, right? We just went real basic, like, here's what they have here, here's what they don't have here. You gotta, pull up to the back here. And that didn't come from people who get to wear black robes at work, right? That came from within the group.
There was a time when Miss Sharon was bringing fresh vegetables every week because she had a community resource and people would take the vegetables home with them. Do you remember that? Yeah.
I know you want to hear from Brenda and Felicia, so I'll wrap up by just saying we also did, we had Ramsey County come and talk to our women about voting. Because when the laws changed, a lot of our women weren't quite sure could they go vote. And so people from Ramsey County elections came in, shared voting, not only how to vote, but we practiced kind of the skill of what does it look like to go vote. For folks who maybe didn't have that as a family tradition, what do you need to do? How do you do it?
The recent chart change that you're on paper, you can still vote, paper meaning probation. Parole.
And for folks who are living, sometimes have multiple homes in succession, right? Or just kind of have a lot of housing instability, how could they vote? And so helping folks just engage in their everyday rights and being a resource for folks. And so we put up a lot of our resources, but again, I know you want to hear from Brenda and Felicia. And so I will.
Before we turn it over though, I will say, just that Commissioner Zhang and Commissioner Moran had the opportunity to visit our group, and part of that is that political efficacy too. And they feel so, I won't speak for you, but I mean, we feel, and they feel, I think, honored that their public officials engage and care about what they're doing. And they had lots of questions, like they will give you the questions.
Just before we turn it over, we just have a little bit about who we serve generally. Do you?
One more. Let's see if we have one
I
more
might have skipped a page.
person. So just in general, who do we serve? We serve justice-involved women who live in Ramsey County, people who are on probation or supervised release in Ramsey County. We do have some women coming from the DOC or supervised release who we bring in, and we want to help just reintegrate into the community. We have women who have justice-involved children or family members, and we have women who are in working with child protection. And one of another just story of a different participant, not the two wonderful people in front of you. One of our folks, what we were working on was the pro-social skill of muting yourself before cussing out your social worker. And you might think like that's not a great skill, but it actually was a really important skill because they kept breaking down in terms of like the social worker felt like she was being hostile and she was just trying to express like frustration in the way she knew, and it was causing a rift. And so just being able to think, okay, I'm gonna put you on mute, I'm gonna say my feelings, and then we can have our conversation, was a pro-social skill that got her back to visitation. When we last saw her, she came by one day just to say, I'm in school. She said, I couldn't stay. I can't stay today, but I just wanted, you're the people I wanted to know that I'm in college right now. We're like, fantastic. So with that,
Can I make one more
Please do,
correction
yes.
before we move forward? I just want to point out that when it said sorority, because it is my sorority, that it's Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority that has been visiting. I think I have to be very particular about that, otherwise my sorority sisters would be upset. It's a graduate chapter, but they're so excited that one of them, who's a licensed psychologist, has given us one of her interns to come and do crisis talk and to talk about therapy and what those things involve. But I had to correct that just because for posterity.
All right. And we'll turn it over to Felicia.
Oh, yeah, I'm first, I guess. I'm Felicia and I was born in Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota, moved to St. Paul when I was like 16. Was then involved, like had child protection as a kid. Really didn't have a good, the best example my mom could with what she had. Pretty much in the justice system, my kid's dad, which had kids before I met him, twin sons. They were 2 years old when I met Roger, and now I have kids with him. But one of them OD'd when he was 21 years old from fentanyl overdose. And at that time I was still in active addiction, and I wouldn't say I had excuses, but I did have all the excuses to do whatever I wanted. I could kind of in my own mental, because everything's against you and whatever like the people are, I guess, coming into seeing judges like this in a different way gave an opportunity to actually feel like our voices are heard. And I actually turned myself into a treatment because my probation officer, which pretty much saved my whole everything. She was the best at whatever she did. She knew exactly what I needed. So it's good at fitting. Yeah. And then a child protection worker actually and told me if I turn myself into treatment, then he will drop the case, because like my kid's dad was actually calling on me. We were both toxic and messed up. And so then I did. And at the time, my son, my oldest, he's 20, just turned 20 now, but he was 15. And then Z was 3 years, so 13 or 12. Anyways, they knew what was going on. So I went to treatment and got clean after that. But that year, a lot happened. My dad died. Terrence died. I got evicted. I lost Section 8 after all of the times of having that crutch kind of, but I ended up in a shelter. I didn't have a job or anything. My probation officer had said that there was a judges meeting, so then I went to Wilder, and then I think I was the only one there that day. Literally, there was Judge Starr.
No, you've been with us since Dunning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the very first one, yeah,
Okay.
right?
Oh, I think so. Or whatever the very first one. It was me as a regular person and these important women. So but I just kept going, and I came one time with a black eye. I was always accepted because wherever I was at in my life, my son was shot.
he was be involved. I mean, he was just too big for his age. I think he was 15. But he was in stolen cars and things like that. So I had to appear in front of the judges, my kids a few times, but that didn't determine who I was as a person. I mean, I'm still a person and a woman and a mom at that. So having that, it really, I just accountability and knowing that like these guys, they do this voluntarily. They don't have to, and that's, if that's anything to get out there and to know, like with Brenda, even her, I've grown from her, from us seeing how we've connected and things have happened in life, I just never thought I'd be at a table like this, so I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll just interrupt and just say that if it was you and the judges, somehow how you showed up kept them coming back.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes,
Like,
that's
there,
exactly right.
that's right. That's 100%.
And her youngest son.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yes, first Theseus is something, and now he's bigger than Judge Starr, they're the same. 5'1", so he's gonna be bigger than her by the time,
Tomorrow.
by the end of the summer for sure, so. And then at the end, the housing part, I am no longer like on assistance, which doesn't say that it's not needed, but I don't qualify for it anymore, and so like. And I'm a store manager at Speedway.
Yeah.
I'm in a different tax bracket I don't even know what that means, really. I'm not what all that means, but it's gotta be like, feeling as important as this and just building that confidence is what this group does. Thank you. Thank you so awesome.
So it's my turn.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Brenda Roth. Hey, beautiful lady.
Yeah, that's how we started. Yes.
I always have to say beautiful because every woman is beautiful and they should hear it at least once a day.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you just a tidbit about myself so you know where I've been and where I'm coming and why this group helps me so much. I am a mother of 4. I am a grandmother to many children. I have been a drug addict. I've been a prostitute, a gang member, an all-around criminal, homeless, been incarcerated many, many times, of course, behind all of my shenanigans. So about 4 years ago, I was homeless, living in a shelter in Maplewood. I was there for a year. We have a young lady that also works with us. Her name is Diana Bain. She's our housing specialist in Ramsey County. Awesome and amazing and beautiful lady as well. She helped me because she was there at the shelter. She helped me get into a Section 8 building. I have been there for 4 years now. She introduced me to this group October of 2022, I believe, when we're at Wilder. Going to the group and I kept looking at them because I've been to many groups. I've been to many treatments. I've been to thousands of groups. Mothers First. I've lost my children. My children were in the system. I now have contact with them and relationships with all my children. What did I say? What did I just say? Oh, she told me about the group. And I read the flyer and I hit her back like, excuse me, this is a judges group. That's true. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. There's judges there and I'm thinking, yeah, all right, I'm not going in front of a bunch of judges to be in judges.
Yes.
Let alone on probation.
Yeah.
Anybody that's director of probation, come on. So I went for the first time and it was okay. I went for the second time and it got greater. Third, fourth time, it was like, wow. And then these women opened up and I seen them open up and they were like me underneath. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And they shared what they went through and they come through every week and they're there for us and they're compassionate and if I can't figure out how to get my driver's license, one of them will tell me this is what you gotta do and this is where you gotta go and this is who you gotta call. they'll figure it out for us and help us along the way of anywhere that we need help. And I mean, anywhere. Back to Diana, she has helped me get housing. My children come to this group as well. My daughters have both been there. My grandkids come and they love their aunties. That's what they call them, their auntie judges. So for me to sit at a table with judges, let alone be accepted by these beautiful super women, I call them my super women, to be accepted and to get the platform that they give me because I do journaling. Other people come and do journaling as well, but I do journaling once a month.
She leads it, yeah.
I lead it and I get deep because like I said, I've been to groups and I see what we need. You know, I feel that I add
You give it
to
a
their
voice,
group and they
like-
give me this platform that I can go stand on my own soapbox and hey, people listen to me now instead of running from me.
You do a
So.
lot of stigma reduction too.
Mhm. And giving people a voice, really, like, I mean, I don't have voice, like, I mean, I stutter at certain things and like, because of you, like, you just made me stick up for myself in ways, so giving women a voice.
I think every woman should learn how to use their voice. They have to learn how to use their voice to get anywhere and to be heard and that makes me feel so special. So, sorry. The big thing about the mothers and daughters, it's healing. And it makes us grow a little bit more, even though me and my children stay at it because of what we've been through. But I think seeing me heal and to be able to have a platform to speak now for women that are like me, women that have been in the struggle and are still in the struggle. And I think it's helped me and my daughters grow a little tighter. And also, these women, like you said, they come every week. They give themselves unfree. I mean, they could go home. They've been here all day dealing with God knows what, the most awful things in the world. And then they come and give their time freely of us instead of going home, decomposing for the night and whatnot. They come share their time with us once a week. You know, and there was something else I wanted to say.
Leadership, but okay.
Oh, well, this year I didn't do it, but the past couple of years I did the picnic.
Was your idea?
Yeah, and I brought an entertainer, I brought in a boxing gym because I think all women should know what's in our community for you. Because a person like me coming out of jail or out of prison in 2008, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who's gonna help me. And they have given that to women that come out of prison and they've allowed me to help women like that, you know, so it's the best. This group is awesome.
Thank you.
Brenda, thank you, Brenda.
Wow.
So Madam Chair, I don't know if folks have questions for us. We have a couple more slides about some of the what's the word, press, I guess, or the accolades we've gotten.
Well, I just want to say, congratulations on finding your power, seeing your worth, knowing your worth, right? And knowing the strength of you, just engaging and participating on behalf of yourself and your family, right? I am amazed at what you have achieved in partnership with other women who see you, right? And that is just so powerful. It's great showing up. I was saying to Judge Roy this afternoon was that I have come.
Yes.
So I've made a commitment, to come more often. Because in our lives we have kids and grandkids, and it's like, oh, it's in the evening I need to do, right? But it's so important. It's so important. So just kudos. Keep going, keep doing it. When challenges come, because they will come, you gotta support, network of support here.
Yes, and also it's a big sisterhood.
Yeah.
And the judges make you feel like they're not judges, they're
Yeah.
just, and I've even been asked if I was a judge in there a couple times.
Yeah, because they show such leadership.
But it's a sisterhood and I love that, because like you said, I'm seen and I'm heard now, and that's healing within itself.
Well, thank you so much. You totally inspire me, Brenda and Alicia. Thank you so much for being here to tell us your stories and of course the judges. My gosh. Thank you so much for this and Monica. Oh my God, I'm so grateful and proud of the work that you're all doing and all the people in the crowd. This is amazing. We love to see this kind of work being done. I'm curious about capacity that you have. Are you able to keep doing this? I mean, this is amazing and we want it to continue. And just curious if you could talk a little bit about that.
We at one point had 80 women coming,
Oh,
and we had women coming from
Yeah.
all over the state.
All over the state.
I think that your county manager
Is
and
there.
Director Long were there one night, we had 90 people. And
my God.
people were like, I drove from Granite Falls and we don't have stuff like that out here. And so sort of figuring out how we can, and that became overstimulating, that was too big,
And a
right?
lot of the women who have trigger issues around the amount of people who
Yeah. Wow.
couldn't come. So we have done a lot of work through our strategic planning and narrowed it down. And that's why we only serve now women who are actually on probation in Ramsey County and live in Ramsey County, or live in Ramsey County and are on probation anywhere, doesn't matter as long as they're in Ramsey County, or have a child protection case,
Okay.
or have a juvenile in the juvenile justice system here in Ramsey County.
And that was, kind of tough, right, to say to people, but we can't be good stewards of you all's support if there isn't a meaningful nexus with Ramsey County. So we did have some people from Minneapolis that, we just couldn't serve. But I think making it a size that we can manage has been a big part of the last 12 months.
That is remarkable, and hopefully they can form their other groups with this as a
Yes.
model. I mean,
Yes.
hopefully. And so about how many do you have? I mean, about how many do you have on average? I'm guessing that.
Now it's down to like no more than about 30 per
Oh my
week.
gosh, though, wow.
And it is never necessarily the same people. And we, like I said,
Plus their children.
their children, we get referrals from probation, but our best referral, one of our gals would just sit in at the laundromat and invite people. And yeah, I mean,
Honestly, like the word of mouth spread like fire.
Wow. Yes, and just to ask our director, thank you for being there and supporting, this
Honestly,
idea
we
when
can do
it
it,
needed
yeah.
it, and Chris and everybody who's helping. So I totally support continuing the support that we give. So are we still continuing? I mean, we still continue to, you support this. It's in your budget that you help.
Yes, it's built into our 26-27 budget.
Okay.
For the amount that it's budgeted, and the amount of people that they serve, women and children.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to provide that level of care anywhere else for what we were able to, and it's the stewardship of the judges ensuring that we're looking at the cost of everything, making sure that we're serving residents of Ramsey County, right? So they've had to make some hard decisions to make that fit, but it's been done successfully.
Well,
Can I also say that, there's so many behind the scenes to make this happen.
yeah.
And she's gonna be so mad at me, but Becky Shack does the majority. Becky is a planner for community corrections, but she'll be like, yeah, I dropped off stuff at Judge Mitchell's at 10 p.m. or came in on the weekend and put boxes together for the women of gifts, or
We've spent countless hours.
So it's between the county attorney's office, volunteers, the who else do we got? Public defenders, the second judicial courts, the community corrections. There is a whole, if this would be a contract with a private provider, it would be $1 million with the staff amount of time that's put in. But this is rooted in grassroots. This is rooted in volunteer work, and not one person ever says no. So I want to make sure that that was said today.
I mean, Becky will field any question. We've spent couple hours on the phone together.
Mhm.
And she's like, did you see this? I'm like, no, I did not. Thank you. And she'll fix it.
I do also, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Okay, continue.
I do want to say also Gail Morkey, who is part of, corrections and, you know,
Countless, I mean.
she has
Yes.
spent a lot of time, helping organize and the men's group, organizing the men's group. And so it's, you know, there's one other piece. We do child watching.
Not fair.
We are judges and we are lawyers by trade, so children are adjacent to their parents with a adult with them close by. And we have kids who have really high ACEs scores,
Level 4.
who need a lot of care. Judge Grewing has, done that. We have started getting volunteers from the court systems in the community, who we know through working with them. It's a little different than just an all call for volunteers. But we've, you know, I think Judge Grewing and I both have held a lot of crying boys who just needed somebody to tell them it was all okay.
I don't hold things.
You know, Judge Mitchell is like that grandma who sits on her porch and says, clean up that trash. Did you listen to that?
Yep.
You know who she is. But it's,
Yeah, Judge Green has done, we are not as child oriented as Judge Green.
Yeah.
I mean, we're more on the programming side. Judge Grewing, I look at her and I say, God bless you, because she has done so much with the children.
She has.
I just want to throw out there, having come from a caregiving background for, you know, had stepped out of any kind of professional life for a very long time. And I you know, I won't quite go in and put a swear into the room, but you know, having raised children with special needs, having been in really difficult situations, to be in a space where you can say, your suck and my suck might be different, but I get the suck.
Right.
It creates a space where I think, especially for mothers, we're hard on ourselves and society's just, and doubly as hard. You're never gonna get a full-throated, you did great. There's always gonna be something that as a woman you could have done better for your children. And especially if you're facing challenges that you yourself are overcoming your own childhood's experiences that either modeled or didn't model how to do even an okay job. And I'm just saying that for all of us, regardless of why we're here at the table or what our name plaque says. And I would guess that in these spaces, for me, the lessons that hardship and kinship and other women sharing and supporting are the most important things that inform the professional work that we do. And so I guess my question is, along with the collective gift back to the community that you all have created, because I can't imagine a more substantive professional development time than the time that the workers and staff and employees are volunteering and being part of this. I'm just curious, as judges, having been part of this, being able to show up as human, you know, yourselves in a space where you're all supporting each other. How has this improved or informed the work that you do every day, regardless if they're part of the group?
do you want to talk about the bill?
Yeah, sure. So I chaired the bail evaluation. I did sort of bail reform for the statewide, for the judicial branch statewide 3 years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you for that work.
And one of the issues that we talked about was about people not making it to court. And based on our conversations at the workhouse, when, you know, when Liz would let us in on Friday nights, sorry, Deputy Reeds would let us in on Friday nights. One of the things that kept coming up is I didn't miss court on purpose, right? I just didn't have a ride. Oftentimes, you know, our neighbors, if you get picked up at the Walmart on Robert, sometimes your court is in Hastings, right? Or, you know, it's where there's no public transit, there's no, you know. So one of the things that I said, based on our conversations, I said, I want that to not count against you when you are incarcerated. I want failure to appear warrants out of the calculation. And there are other ways to sort of monitor whether someone would be at risk to reoffend when they're released, but it was like an 18-month slog. I don't know if there's any Hamilton fans in the room, but I would walk up the steps at the judicial branch and say, I don't have the votes. Like, I don't have the votes. But I just had this woman's face in my mind the whole time because she was like, I didn't miss court on purpose. And I'm already behind the ball every time I get picked up because they say, well, she failed to appear 4 times. I just couldn't get to court. So, I mean, that's a little tiny thing, but really professionally helped me inform a lot of the policy work I was able to do.
And when we think about being trauma informed, we have lots of conversations with women who talk about, I mean, to hear Brenda and Felicia say, well, I was nervous, I was scared, and you sort of come into the room thinking, man, I'm just kind of that dopey person who, like today I was putting on my clothes and my wife said, nothing here is okay. Like you get a sense of like, I'm just this dork. What's going on? But it shows up differently in courtrooms. And then to start thinking, okay, being trauma informed means that when people are in front of you, they're scared, right? And how do we slow this down and create space where people who are scared get a chance to talk? Or, I mean, my mom from Child Protection Court, who was able to put her worker on pause, it's just this idea of how do we help people in these really high frustration moments with that level of compassion. And I think a lot about the women in our group, you know, probably not these two because they're actually wonderful humans, but sometimes I'm like, oh, that's just a story, right? You just tell them you're feeding me a line or you're saying the same thing I heard from 4 other people. But it's not a story when I can say, well, it's actually the same story as this woman in group. And I heard someone else talk about this when we were talking about journals, or, you know, you hear somebody say something aspirational in court and you're like, oh, I don't know. But you hear it in group and you're like, okay, I need to remember this is real, right? And it might come out differently in court, but these are real. And it's, that might seem really obvious because, you know, you want to give everyone the benefit of the bounce. But sometimes, you know, we're seeing lots of people all on the same day, all in trauma, and it's just putting humans behind every story, real people with real feelings who are going to mess up even in front of you in the most important moment. Just makes me a better judge, makes me more expansive and forgiving and a better listener.
Yeah, for sure, Sean. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, judges, Chief Judge, for, you know, of course, the commitment into this. I have some questions just around sustainability. Obviously, what I think about is just, you know, lasting institutions or things that to remain permanent. What are, is that in play right now of like, you know, if and whenever the judges or there may be other judges who want to join and take the lead, how is this going to be sustained beyond our presence or time here in our roles? And also the funding aspect of like, I'm sure Director Long, you mentioned that it's, you know, it's not a lot, but I'm curious, how much does it take to like to make sure that the group has a space to meet, that they have the support to run groups?
Well, the judges, again, have done a really good job at really honing in their population. So I would say approximately 60 to 65,000 a year at 30 to 40 women a week. And that's space, that's food, that's gift cards for participation, bus tickets, transportation. And now they want to do, of course, therapeutic stuff. So we
have a volunteer.
we have, you know, so we don't just look at the budget and community corrections. We look at other areas too to sponsor some of this stuff, but that takes time. It takes manpower. It takes the judge's time, the staff of community corrections time, or any other volunteer. So that's approximately what it is, which, like I said, a cost at a private provider for group would be probably 10 times that amount.
And can I just add to like, part of the cost that we're not paying for that's not our time is, like we said, Becky Shack's time. Dropping off things and talking about the budgets with me and doing that type of thing. And part of it's Commissioner Long's time, outside of, out of work.
I can't be the commissioner.
Director, my apologies. I elected you to a position. And so, there's that, and we are tired. I will say that we've had conversations where we're like, we're tired. I don't know if we could keep doing this. And then we talked to Brenda and Felicia and we're like, okay, we're all in. But, we've invited other judges, but I just don't think that that's increasing the judges participating is a feasible, situation. But I do think that, having designated support so that it's built in would be super helpful, in terms of, like who does the numbers? Well, I go in and look at the spreadsheets and, I do all that with that, and they do all of, there was a time when Judge Starr and Judge Brewing, and I were like putting in money for stuff, we're like, okay, we ran out of the gift card, so now we're all gonna put our money in and.
Don't tell our spouses.
But, so, there's certain, that was before we met, Director. Well,
Commissioner. I think that, one of the themes of goals, and I may be wrong, judges, is when this first began, is the goal of long-term be more participant-led, where the judges stand back and support. Because it was a couple years of really heavy lifting. And when I say that, my office was filled to the brim with boxes of heavy lifting, just to get it grassroots off the ground. So I don't know if you guys are feeling that, but I think that's part of it too, is, the Felicia and the Brendas of the world will be taking more forefront, and you have the support of the judges a little bit and behind.
But if they took the forefront, I think one of the things that we've talked about as a group, Judge Starr and Judge Grewing and I, is that, we would like there to be some sort of mechanism to compensate them. At this time, there isn't, because we're not an LLC, we're not a nonprofit 403C. People will offer sometimes to make donations, but we don't have that status, so we can't take them.
And just along those lines too, have you considered going to foundations or just sharing about it?
Because we're not
the
403C, we can't get the money. We have considered that, we've gone to foundations, but they can't really document. It's like, we're giving it to you and then,
And part of our judicial canons is that we are not allowed to fundraise in any capacity.
Right.
So we can't, the three of us can't ask anybody for money. So that sort of further complicates.
Maybe that's a role that the county can help support it.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's where we rely on the public defender and the prosecutor, because they'll go and make the ask or, on behalf of the group.
So question on that, just building off of Commissioner Zhang's kind of scaffolding the group too, I want to ask is, because this is also playing a role in successful moving through probation and reentry and all of that, and there is some formality, so it's not completely peer-led and peer supported. There's also a sense of that scaffolding to be that official bridge as well as the informal supports, right? So with the format, would it always have to be judges who are creating that scaffolding to bridge between the peer-led and the credit, so to speak, as folks are moving through their probationary process, or could it be other types of county or probationary or other supports that the peers themselves would find beneficial and aligned with the work that you're doing? I've heard people shout out case managers and other so there are other people I would think who could also step in and be. I'm just curious if it would only be judges that could do that kind of role.
It's very possible, and I think to both of your questions, that certainly is part of what we see the future to be. And we very intentionally, no one is court ordered to attend our group, right? And so we are very intentional about, we are not sort of taking attendance or sort of managing that. And so we're already playing kind of a secondary role there. Their probation officers are checking on things or stuff like that. So I think the future is kind of along those lines for sure.
We take attendance in the sense that,
Yes, thank you.
their probation officers can, and Becky does this too, can look, when I report back the numbers to Becky, she puts them in the chronologies of so that they can have a sober support, credit, like that they went and they were there. And so, I mean, to that degree, they are getting, their attendance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moran and County Manager Putnam.
So I was just thinking, I'm not thinking a lot.
Oh, can I just say one more thing before you comment?
Mhm.
But not to sound like stressful or anything, but the judges are like a big draw. So it's like we kind of have to be part of it in that way. Like they'll come and say, Judge Starr, I came because I love they love Judge Starr.
No.
I came because I love Judge Starr.
Yes.
And they'll come and or if one of us isn't there, they'll be like, where's Judge Gruen? Where's Judge Mitchell? So that part has some sort of draw for people. I mean, we don't think we're that important, but they think that we're important.
Yeah, I mean.
You guys could be on the sideline to sign autographs. So I think go ahead.
I just wanted to say one thing. The dinners that we have is awesome because it's nice to come have a meal with your sisters. The bus cards is awesome. When I told Director Long that I needed bus fare, she went and got us the bus tokens. The gift cards help. We used to get them every month and they are every week, and they were very helpful for someone like me that only gets $360 a month. And the gift cards, I mean, I use them for household or what have you, and they're usually Walmart, Aldi's, Target. And they have been very, very helpful. And for the other ladies as well, come, and look forward to our gift cards, our bus tokens. And we even were, Ubering some of our women to groups. So, so that they could get there. And it was very helpful. It's nice to sit down and have a meal and chill and talk and, just to let you guys know that it's doing something. So. Okay, good.
So I think you judges are rock stars. This is like a huge commitment that you have made.
Yeah, wow.
And I like the idea of moving the ladies into facilitating different parts of it. But that doesn't take away the fact that you need a break. That you maybe want a day, was it Wednesdays?
Yes.
A Wednesday that you don't have to show up. So think about what that can be, as you can train commissioners to show up and say, you have been right, because self-care is important even for you, right? And how do you do that and feel comfortable with not being there and then have someone else in maybe like an authority type of way being present? What that look like? I think 65K a year that you have put into your budget. Is it a year or every 2 years? Is that a 2-year
It's every
budget?
year, and the years fluctuate. So, pardon me. We went on real costs, so I just took the real costs, and that's the budget, and that was a little bit higher amount of clients. So we'll see. Watching it very closely.
So what
We're
we trying?
presently operating below budget. Right?
I would put, oh, good. Okay, well, I won't say the next thing then.
No.
Services. I didn't mean to say anything.
No, I like the idea of you thinking about how to maintain this and bring it just for Ramsey County. Because I know Ramsey County is a county that says we want to serve everyone everywhere, but sometimes you have to put perimeters around what you can really do, right? So I do like that, but as I sit here and think what else can we do? I think about Ramsey County, I think about our county attorney's office, I think about our sheriff department, I think about Ramsey County board and how we can, put something in the base that can be ongoing for something like this. And how can we invest into this work that really is about uplifting women, families, community, self-sufficiency. And there's a cost that is really associated with that when you are invested into people's lives. And so, you know, just think about, you know, I think it's part of us to think about what that can look like as a board who believes in racial equity, as we believe in empowering individuals and families. You know, when you do that, you create better outcomes for children, you know, to be able to see themselves in a more powerful way too. And you know, there's times when we all need support. Yeah. So it's just not, we all need support in times. And so just really looking at what that means for all of us to invest in. Just budget, you know, to get the work done.
Yeah, I think, you know, what we talked about with Commissioner Long a lot is this also lends itself.
She did it again.
I did it again, Director. I can't.
You're
Looking at these signs.
I see.
Director Long, am I like trying to make you do something?
I get it.
Is that, it also fits really well within public health and human services. And so, I think the fact that it should come from other, divisions as well. The money and the support or whatever should come from the other, divisions as well.
Well, and Commissioner McGuire, you did say it was Year of the Horse. You opened by celebrating, and certainly we know that equine therapy is really good for trauma. And just, I mean, as you're, you know, just throwing in some ideas, we would.
There is a strong desire for that and a bus.
I mean, just as if you're thinking, because I think we are always curious about how we better serve the folks who come into our group, but also really want to acknowledge that we're just Ramsey County Corrections is doing the bulk of the work. And in services and the work that you're overseeing in the county. We're just, you know, we're lucky to be in such a county that has so many resources. So, I mean, we absolutely want support. We have great ideas. I think Brenda was the one who's like, tell Commissioner, or now you got me saying, tell Director Long about equine therapy. But I mean, just if if you're thinking about ideas, our leaders have a lot of ideas that they would love to see. So
We're talking about substance use disorder. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about housing.
Absolutely.
You know, it is like the whole continuum.
I do think the night you came, I started, you heard everything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally
It's a whole
every
continuum.
challenge that Ramsey County residents are struggling with all came to the forefront that night, for sure.
But thank you, Commissioner Long.
I definitely want to echo that, thank you so much for your continued investment in this, and also it really falls, aligned with our strategic priorities with what we just discussed this morning at our board workshop, right? Around, racial and health equity and shared community power. That's why I really like your, shared model, for decision-making together, where you all have opportunities to lead meetings, to make decisions about which areas to focus on. And then on top of that, both the justice transformation, the intergenerational wealth and economic justice, and resident-centered holistic supports. I'm hearing 3 generations that are together, where you're talking about the issues that matter most to you. I really hope that this continues, and also that you would be able to draw on other parts of the county as needed too. I think about our public health team, environmental health, even you mentioned elections. That's definitely a direction that we should still keep going. It's like pulling all those different resources or services that the county has available.
Yeah, we would love to have some money to send Brenda and Felicia to leadership training or leadership workshop. I mean, that would fill our cup.
County Manager Becker.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you again for coming. And I'll tell staff that are working on this. Congratulations to all of you. I think I was familiar with it a few years ago. You guys have come a fair ways in sort of modifying the program, and I'm appreciative of the more focused emphasis on the connections to Ramsey County. I think that changes a little bit in terms of, I think, our ability to sort of think about what makes sense to support, because then the programs and things that you're accessing, like they're all available to the people in the room, instead of saying, well, we're bringing this thing in, but oh, you don't, you don't qualify because you're not part of it. I think the story of the work kind of speaks for itself. Like the storytelling aspect here is just amazing, hearing the stories of both the two of you, but I'm sure there's, that times 20, or 30 and multiple generations. And I always think about, the work that we do really around putting our time into what we do best. We're part of a bigger ecosystem of a community, and government does some things, our staff can do some things, but there's a lot of partners in our community. And I guess I just would open the conversation to continue to have with you all about how we bring those partners. I'm all about bringing all the One Ramsey County into the process. We can talk about that, but the more, I think, opportune thing is to think about, especially with our commissioners understanding more of the work, is there that bridge into other people and other organizations into the community. And I think a lot of times people just think, oh, government's going to do these things. And really, we need to bring these sort of transformative opportunities back out to the community and say, well, this is where you can come in and take the baton, because unfortunately, we're still very much hooked up to the other parts of the punitive system, and you get to be a little more in this other part that helps us with some of this, different light that we can give to people. So I hope we can have that conversation, and I think that actually gives a lot of hope and a lens for like people who run businesses, people who are like just other residents who aren't involved in some of this, to understand the important work that the county is about. And it's really not about the government or the system, but it's about the people. And these are the type of programs that people could get a chance to meet the people. And I would say the same thing for our staff, like it's easy sometimes when you're in multiple different departments, whether you're maybe in finance or in some part where you're not resident facing, like that this would be great opportunities for some of those staff to show up so that they feel like they get to be closer to residents too, because everybody in our organization works for the residents at the end of the day. We can't be that far removed, So I'm really happy you guys brought this. It's a breath of some hope and fresh air in the midst of a really difficult time right now. I think it just gives us a lot of light. And I hope that we can find ways to both leverage more county for you, but also extend that to all the, I think about all these commissioners and all the tables they sit at and the people they know and the foundations and the businesses. I mean, we should show the things we're really proud of and say, invest with us. This is your community too, and this is what the county's doing. We're investing $60,000, $70,000. How do you match that with us? Like, let's put that challenge out there to our community.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, County Manager, that there are pieces that have organically grown through the work that you all have done that will be much more flexible and nimble and responsive out of our guardrails. So the idea of having, I think of so I come from a mental health background, like the clubhouse model that's, that's peer-led, and like, again, there's some scaffolding, but it's really the community that's driving it. And then you're not bound by the idea of, we had a conversation earlier today in our board meeting about emergency assistance that immediately went down the qualification, rabbit holes that we have to go to, rather than other organizations that we sit at tables where somebody walks in and they say, here's a gift card. Now you can buy groceries and spend the money you were going to spend on groceries on your rent. Done. Boom. Well, we don't have that kind of flexibility, but if we can find partners who can partner with us to meet those other needs, I do appreciate the both and approach, right? As you all are expanding. Commissioner McGuire, and then
and then you'll probably end it up. But I wanted to comment a little bit about what was just commented on with County Manager Becker and my colleague, is that the comment was made, you have so many resources, and just to remind people that our resources come from our taxpayers. And so we're very careful. We're just proud that Director Long saw the return on the investment here that she dedicated really much needed resources. Like, she doesn't have money she's trying always to keep her budget to a point where we can go to our taxpayers and say, okay, here's the levy that we have to do. So I'm just crediting you with saying, this was a great return on investment. We do have this, and we need to find ways to bring to bring nonprofits, to bring, we all have tables we sit at, the women lawyers table, other lawyers can be a part of this, who would, I think, find this great opportunity. And so we can all be brainstorming that way, and we wish we had unlimited funds. I mean, we all support this because we see it as a great investment, and we wish we could give more, but we may not be able to. So that's why we just came out of a county judges meeting where we all, we need resources for public defenders, for all these things that we, courts need money for public defenders. We need money for so many things. And we will just work with you on all of that. And we continue to support this and help find ways to have other dollars invested as well, so that you can go to the trainings, and it may not be our dollars, but it may be someone else's. But I just wanted to say that we are always checking ourselves, because we have so many needs in the county, as the courts do. And we are just always trying to balance all of that. And just thank you for making this work be such an inspiration to us who know this work needs to be done. So thanks.
Can I make just one
Yes,
last quick comment?
Yes, in fact, I was gonna open up and say,
Yeah.
if for all of our guests that are here, if there's anything that bubbled up that you want to be able to share before I close it out, please do.
One thing I think that you said that really made me want to say something is that, with Director Long, I said it right this time, what I've noticed, as a judge and in this group, the reason she was able to see this is because of the transformation work that we're doing in, corrections as a whole. I think what I've seen since she has been the director, and I have not been a judge here that long, but I've worked in the criminal justice system the majority of my life, is a care and concern for the people who are traversing the system based on the data that it prevents recidivism. And I think when we look at the costs for this, what we have seen overall is that by building community, you're less likely to want to tear down your community. And you are more likely to become productive. So the cost, there is a cost, but there's a cost savings. And we can't always put our number on what that cost savings is, but once you hit the mothers, it trickles down, and the fathers, it trickles down to their children who they bring to group or their parents. And it can be exponential, the amount of benefit that the county gets. And so I just want to keep that in mind too. Although it costs money, we're saving money by doing the prevention work and following the lead of what the Community Corrections Department is doing in more restorative practices. So I just wanted to add that.
Can I add real quick that we did a quick check, and for the participants that are on current probation, any of the women who attended this group, none of them have had a probation violation while in the group. So I completed probation.
Yeah.
All right. So that goes in hand.
That's why.
Yes.
Is there any other guests that had something they wanted to add before I close this off?
Commissioner, I just again want to thank you for inviting us and allowing us to be here. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we do this work for the same reason you do this work, because we love the people of Ramsey County. And we see that in the faces of the leaders in our room, in the women who come just once for a meal, and like just someone who supports them. And we want to thank you for allowing us to bring justice with a face of love into the community, and allowing us to be part of the Ramsey County system. We of course are separate as judges, but this is a collaboration that has really worked well. And we just want to thank you for allowing us to do this.
Well, I love this, and I'll just say that, we sit in workshops like this all of the time. And almost immediately, the energy of this workshop has been unique to any other workshop that I've attended in the last year.
Yeah.
And it's- And also, we're going to finish on time, even though we allowed it to be organic and all of that. So let me just say, our colleague in Hennepin County Chair Irene Fernando has been doing work on maternal leadership in leadership public service. And I have just been able to sit in this space and see that leadership from Felicia and from Brenda and from all of you. And I appreciate that so very much. And as we traverse all of these specific challenges that the women who are participating in this program, who are running this program, who are bringing life to this program, are all things that when we talk about the broad resources of Ramsey County, are things that we are addressing every day: housing stability, substance use disorder, trauma, all of these things. So when we talk about broad resources, we do mean one Ramsey County. And so I think this is a tremendously important work. And I always like to say they're not costs, they're investments. And we know from development work, whether it's here in our urban core or if it's international development, that if you want to heal a community, you heal its women, you heal the mothers who will raise the next generation. And this is the work that you're doing. And I just also, you know, we talk about who's important, what titles we have, what we bring to the table. And I'll just say, you know what? We all have a secret decoder ring. We all have one little corner of the map that we understand, but then we go off of our map and we don't know what's over there. And so it sounds like this group, you all put the pieces together and we can navigate this space and find our way up and out. And so I just think this is wonderful that you all were able to share this with us. The last few months and weeks of being in Minnesota have been tremendously draining, and to have this program shared with us today is exactly what we all needed. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Chair.
That we return.
Right. I was thinking.
Okay, so. I can give your card. Yeah.
Here.